by 50 or more. Listen, Pitt's going to get Peter rolled. We know that Georgia's going to get taken to the dog pound and beat down. It's not even a contest.
Wow.
So do I even need to bother watching the SEC and ACC championship games?
There's only one conference in America. You know that.
Big Ten championship game presented by Discover. The kickoff is just after 8 o'clock Eastern from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Ohio State playing perhaps for a spot in the playoff. The Purple trying to get out to Pasadena and the Rose Bowl. For Nicole Auerbach and Jay Lehman, I'm Rick Pizzo. As always, appreciate you spending some time with us here on Beyond.
Hey there and welcome in. It is BTN Live on a Thursday. Dave Revson, Jerry DiNardo, what?
What are you doing here? You're not usually here.
I don't know. It's on my schedule, so I showed up.
That's good. It's always good to show up when your schedule says. It's good to be with you.
It is good to be with you, too, as we prepare to head to Indy. I would put forth the premise that this will be the biggest game for Northwestern since the 1995 season. What do you think about that notion?
I think you know a lot more about it than I do, but I would agree with what I know. And they've had a great year. I mean, I know they don't want to hear that because there's a game left over, but man, them being in the championship game is one of the best coaching jobs we've seen in a long time.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. Brandon Williams will join us on the show as well as two teams aim to win the Big Ten championship.
Come to Ohio State and you can look around and see all the championships, and you know our big saying around here is get to Indy, and then now it's winning Indy.
Taking that next step of winning the Big Ten championship is where we want to go as a program, and move on to national championships.
This game on Saturday would just mean all the hard work we did in the offseason, all the extra running and push-up steps we did with Coach Mick, makes it worth it.
We set ourselves a goal in the offseason to win the West, and we achieved that. Our next goal was to win the Big Ten championship, so that's where our sights are set.
I think it will mean everything, not just to myself, but to this team, to the coaching staff, just because of the way the season has been, the adversity that we face.
Given how we started off the season without our head coach and all the drama that was happening off the field and how we bounced back and then to win the Big Ten, kind of just sense of relief.
We've got an opportunity to do something significant and special that will put this group, on the Mount Rushmore of the best teams that we've ever had here. And if we go execute, we'll give ourselves an opportunity to compete. If we make it a four-quarter game, we'll get an opportunity to win.
So those are the storylines, the Buckeyes and Wildcats, each shooting for that Big Ten title Saturday in Indy. Now, I did not take this assignment today lightly. I know you think, I just showed up, as I said, but no, I've been studying film. I've been breaking down what you guys have been doing each and every week, you and Mike, and I know that I have some heavy responsibility here.
I know you're lying.
Which is to set you up for the 5 things that you think you know. Let's start with number 1, and it deals with sports psychology. Tell me how.
Okay, so I was at Ohio State most of Tuesday in the office visiting with Dwayne and visiting with Coach Meyer. And I think it's psychology 101, right? Everyone outside the building's talking about style points. Everyone's talking about the mismatch and so on and so forth. But what the coaches are trying to convey to the players is this is a really good Northwestern team. You better close your ears to all the outside noise, right? I mean, that's psychology 101. I would suggest to you that when Howard went to Northwestern, it's right in Fitz's wheelhouse, right? They don't respect us. Remember the rant he went on when he went to Minnesota. So both these coaches are really in their wheelhouse. I mean, Urban deals with this a lot, right? Because they're usually the favorite. Fitz deals with this a lot, usually because they're not the favorite. So I think these two coaches are in a position that they've done really well before.
Well, you're talking about the psychology of Ohio State. Urban always seems to know the right buttons to push, right? 23-5 against ranked opponents as the head coach at Ohio State. You were talking about Pat Fitzgerald on the other side, the Big Ten Coach of the Year, and you think you know why.
Well, okay, the coach, the all Big Ten conference records came out, as awards came out, as I'm getting prepped for the show, and I look at, Wisconsin has more than Northwestern has on the all-conference team. Iowa has more players on the all-conference team than Northwestern, and yet Northwestern did not lose a West Division game. And so my point is, this is one of the reasons Pat Fitzgerald was Coach of the Year. If you go by the all-conference teams, there's some teams that have more talent than they have. Now, you can debate that, and there's a lot of other reasons, as you mentioned in our pre-show meeting, why Fitz is Coach of the Year. But certainly one of the reasons is if you look at their roster, it may not be as talented or as deep as some of the other teams. And getting your team to achieve things that other people can't achieve with perhaps more resources, that's why a coach is Coach of the Year.
Right, and again, he always has that situation every year and has done a tremendous job this year, of course, as I mentioned, as you kind of alluded to. I mean, you talk about the injuries, you talk about kind of all these other things that have happened, you talk about the somewhat embarrassing early loss, and yet figured out a way to persevere. By that measure, by the way, Urban Meyer has overachieved significantly this year, too. Just 4 first-teamers for Ohio State. Michigan had 7.
Right. I think Michigan had 5 on defense.
Yeah.
And Ohio State had 2 on offense, and it was enough for 62 points.
All right. We were talking about the coaches. Let's get to personnel here. The quarterback position, you think that will be really important?
Okay, both are quarterback-centric offenses, which most offenses are, with the exception of teams maybe like Wisconsin. But I don't think either of these quarterbacks are good enough to win it by themselves. I do think whatever quarterback plays better gives their team a better chance to win. But they both need help. Dwayne Haskins needs help, and one of the ways he gets help is Ryan Day and Kevin Wilson have to mix in some options. As good as this offensive line is, or as talented as this offensive line is, I should say, of Ohio State, they need help because they can be outnumbered. I think Clayton Thorson needs help. I think the way Clayton gets help is Mick McCall starting the game out a little bit wide open, a little bit maybe like Purdue did against Ohio State, because Clayton Thorson needs a run game. I just don't believe he needs it right away. He may not even need it the first quarter, but at some point they're going to have a run game, and I think starting with the run isn't the best way to help Clayton. The best way to help Clayton is start with the pass, maybe some underneath routes and things that he gets comfortable, get Ohio State thinking about defending the pass, and then helping Clayton by threatening the Ohio State defense with the run.
Interesting. Has not been their MO here down the stretch, as we know. They've
been almost the opposite, right?
Yeah, been very run-centric and have been a run-first team, no doubt. You think where Ohio State has the biggest advantage? Where's that?
At the line of scrimmage. I think if you follow recruiting, you watch the tape, you go down on the field and look at both these teams, you go to camps like you and I do in August, you see the offensive line and the defensive line in Ohio State is built bigger, stronger, and faster than Northwestern is. And again, that gap has to be closed. Northwestern has won games in that same situation this year, and they could win this game in that same situation. But I do think the talent goes towards Ohio State at the line of scrimmage.
I think the one you really have to worry about if you're Northwestern is the offensive line, which has been an Achilles heel for them. They've given up 29 sacks, second most of the Big Ten. So if you are going to be pass first, you have to make sure Thorson doesn't end up getting sacked back there. Finally, we started with the psychology on Ohio State side. You touched on a little bit with Northwestern, but I know you want to elaborate on that.
Okay, so I said to Urban, as I did end zone, is there an advantage, or how does it help you to have been to Indianapolis before? And right away he said, well, it does help us because it's familiar. We're going to do the same thing we've done. Pat Fitzgerald and his team hasn't done that. So I think we might see a Norman Dale move by Pat Fitzgerald. Do you know
Hoosiers?
You do Hoosiers, right?
Yeah.
What happened with Norman Dale? What did he do when he got to the arena?
He measured the baskets.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Just like the ones back in Hickory.
Right. So Fitz might say, you know what? Let's go end zone to end zone and see if this is 100 yards in Indy.
Right.
So Fitz might pull a Norman Dale.
I like
short pants.
I like the way you work short pants.
Yeah. I'm a short pants guy. I mean, I'm an underrated short pants guy. Some people think I don't follow it.
Right. No, and then some people know you don't follow it, right?
We're 7 for 7 in the ACC Big Ten Challenge.
7 for 7?
7 apiece.
Okay.
Is that the way we were tied?
70. She was a tie. We'll get to that later. That was a good deep tease.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah. Okay, but let's do a little bit of a shallower tease.